Hello folks, welcome to another market internal review for June 1st, 2023. As suggested in yesterday's video towards the end when we analyzed VOLD, VOLD closed at an extreme bearish area. Meanwhile, SPY held its price. And I mentioned a couple times now in market internal reviews that when this occurs, it typically gives us some potential room to move at a higher price on the market overall. So today, coming in, it was much of a surprise to see at least some buying out of the gate. Once we cleared yesterday's high price, things definitely took off. We had a fantastic breakout over the TWAP, broke the second deviation band for a brief moment until we consolidated, and then we continued that trend for the rest of the day. So absolutely just phenomenal price action right out of the gate for June, starting things off really hot. We did close at 421. We broke below the first deviation, but yeah, we definitely held that 420 price. Now, the TWAP on the session was right around that 420, so it'll be interesting tomorrow to see what happens. The big thing that I noticed today while trading was the trend was keeping us in the balance region for its or the levels I commonly preach as the balance zone for trend. We had a couple of periods where trend was not showing any signal, and in previous videos I've mentioned that usually gives a little bit more confirmation that trades can be entered with some confidence. That being said, I largely had to ignore trend today and focus on those add and VOLD bands that I commonly refer to in these videos. They gave clear signal for any kind of trend flipping. Let's go ahead and pull up the tick levels. So we see immense buying there towards the morning session. We make a couple of different tick levels, and we're basically oscillating around that second deviation, keeping it rather tight until we have that breakout. And we have that first really strong buy that pops us right into previous day's high price. And from there, we basically just went straight up. Now, these candles were kind of choppy, but definitely kind of a slow melt, I guess, somewhat kind of move. And I think when we look at the trend indication of a balance, maybe that's a reason for that, is that we're seeing prices advancing across the New York Stock Exchange. We're seeing the volume supported, but there's perhaps not as much momentum. If we come down here and we look at tick, we're seeing a high amount of tick closures on average over zero, and we saw a couple of pockets of some bearish tick, but nothing below 500 even. We didn't see that until after the mythical 12:30 time that I constantly point out. We did start to see some of that. We have some pretty thick levels here with lots of strong tick moves. I mean, we just had a ton of phenomenal tick action, extreme closures even a couple times, one around 11:40, 11, about mid 10 o'clock this morning. So by 12:30, we had seen most of the buying we were going to see for the day. See some cooling off here, the add showing us a little bit of relief. I believe around this time, this 12:30 time, the add was struggling to pass 1500. That definitely is something to keep an eye on. When you are using the MIT, if you're using that or you're just looking at the add chart, definitely pay attention to when add is showing 1500. There's usually some kind of reaction at that point that can cause the price on the indices, if there's good confluence or if there's good alignment with it, could see some reaction. So we did see that a little bit here, but it picked right back up and continued that upward price. We never even ducked below that first deviation band high, not until towards the end of the day. We did see an extreme closure on tick on the bearish side, but we managed to hold this previous tick level. We did blow through this one, but we did reclaim at the end of the day. If we turn on the weekly TWAP here, we can see that right around that breakout time, a previous day high, that's roughly right where we reclaimed the weekly TWAP value and saw that buying really start to take off. So another very interesting thing is if we turn on the first deviation band for the weekly TWAP, we can also see that's roughly where the price bounced to and then came back up. So again, just more information, more confirmation that these standard deviation bands on the weekly time frame, they do show some alignment with the price action. So very fascinating there. We're going to take a look at the Qs. Much similar price action. We got that previous high of day price on the Qs. Oh, take that back. Q's high of day was actually right here, though the end of day session high is roughly right around there. So we broke that. Then we had that strong buy. Very good alignment with the market internals. Good alignment with tick. It's exactly what you want to see on a day like today. Turn off the tick levels just to get a cleaner picture of the chart here. So just a ton of first standard deviation breaks, trending up most of the day. Look at the Dow. Very similar. Previous day high price. So we see a lot of immense buying back up above TWAP. We had a retest and then just straight up. Tick levels, I'm sure, going to be quite similar. Yep. Lots of heavy tick levels up here at the top. Check out the Russ. Russ, much the same. Kind of some weird oscillation here. TWAP, it looks like all the extreme price action was basically right at the same price, so that's why it's drawing this way. Yeah, then you see that immense buy that comes in. Actually, it almost seems like Russ was a little bit stronger today compared to the other indices. What did it do yesterday? Yeah, so it had a lot harder selling off yesterday, so a lot more aggressive buying back up. IWM has been volatile, more so than the others. I guess that's not much of a surprise. Weekly TWAP reclaim, immense buying right here. Didn't even test it, but we did halt right up at the upper standard deviation of the weekly TWAP. So that's interesting. Go back and take a look at weekly TWAP on the other names. Okay, mostly like SPY. Qs, mostly like SPY again. Let's take a look at chips. So chips had a pretty standard day. Take a look at a couple of big names here. Apple had some strong buying. TWAP retest there towards the end of the day. Thick tick levels here up above here, and it closed above all of them. That's pretty exciting, because if we get a strong Apple, we continue to see strong buying in Apple for their WWDC that I brought up in the past video. I think that could continue to push all of the indices up. Strong buy above weekly TWAP. Nice. Take a look at NVIDIA after their earnings. What did they do after their earnings here? Have they been able to hold that price? It looks like so far NVIDIA is holding that 400-ish price range. Impressive. Very cool. Most of the internals, save for trend, gave clear indication of what we were going to see, where the direction was going to go. And as I've mentioned in the past with boxing tick, where are most of the closures? Are they above or below zero? And we can just see very easily here. This histogram view makes it quite simple, I think, to see is that, I mean, very clearly we had a majority closures above zero. Even in the morning session, right, we're seeing strong alignment between tick and SPY. We've got our add and VOLD bands telling us exactly what the New York Stock Exchange is doing. We've got our trend 20 SMA giving us clear indication of what kind of trend is being set up for the New York Stock Exchange. So with market internals, we simply find those key levels, either ones that we've used before, or we use the dynamic levels, the TWAP, the standard deviations. We find our entry and we take advantage of the move that's forecasted. Today was definitely an easy day. We'll go take a look here quickly at the tick. Yesterday, even though we saw some closures up here at the highs, I think today we saw a lot more cleaner action. Definitely seeing more closures at highs. These wicks are important. We did get the extreme closure down here below. Okay, let's take a look at the ad. So I mentioned you can draw levels on the ad. It's important you take a look at this. So we had a couple key levels that were broken quite easily. You can see we opened up right at 600, which we had documented from earlier. Broke that above and pretty much cleared everything else with ease. Plotting the SMAs, the 20 and the 8, mainly the 20, gives us a clear indication crossover here right around 10, taking us all the way through our previous levels and the common 1500 level. And then you can see we basically oscillated around that level for the rest of the day. So that's where we had immense buying on SPY in the beginning of the day, in the morning session into the afternoon. And then after that, we basically fizzled out. We didn't really go anywhere up or down. We'll go take a look at VOLD. We started at 0, remained bullish the entire day. We saw some really weird candle action, and then we had that extreme closure. So with this extreme closure here, SPY and all the other indices are mostly in agreement with this. I would not be surprised if we saw a little bit of a dip back. Maybe we don't gap down. I doubt we'll gap up. We could open up roughly around the same price, but I definitely would expect to see potentially a little bit of a pullback. Okay, so let's take a look at trend today. So we can see from yesterday's high, trend was in a downtrend. As I've said before, when it's at extreme highs, it has to come down to get into the bullish zone, and that downward movement is bullish itself. So while trend could be in the bearish zone or the balance zone, if it's coming from highs, it could still be an opportunity to go long on SPY or Qs or whatever you trade. So that's definitely the kind of situation we had here today. Now, the price action within trend was certainly a little wonky, but yeah, I think the biggest takeaway here, if you're using trend, is take note of those highs. So like I said, yesterday was exceptional for the prices on trend for those values. We were seeing 2.7. Midday we saw 2 as a high. Just in the time I've been doing these reviews, we've not really seen much past, I think, 1.7. Given that trend was so high, I think that there was probably some data skew. I've mentioned this before. So, when there's some skew, you have to kind of take that into consideration, which is something I did do when I was trading SPY today. Looking at these yellow dots, again, can give you indication of balance or imbalance if they're white or they're not present. If you're ever questioning what you're seeing here, definitely just go review the chart and see for yourself. Sometimes you have to do that. Reviewing the VIX real quick here today. So since the morning session, VIX was basically just in a downtrend the entire day. So with the extreme tick closure, we were seeing an increase in volatility. Not a surprise. All of these other tick closures on the bullish side, extreme, just selling off on the VIX. So good alignment there. We're at 15.5 almost. That's insane. So yeah, with VIX as low as it is, with the VOLD showing the extreme bullish close up here, even with SPY being in agreement, I would not be surprised if we see just at least a little bit of a pullback. But, as I always say, I always come into each day fresh, try to have as little bias as possible. I let the internals and the data let me know what I should plan for, what kind of opportunities I should look for. That's what I'll be doing tomorrow, but definitely excited. It'll be Friday. I don't know if we have any news, but I'll be taking a look at that as well. I hope you had an amazing trading day today. Thank you for watching.